Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today is the first video in the Everyday Design Tip series that we are going to be posting. I'm going to do my best to post at least one per week, and the series is really all about those random questions or aha moments that I've had that I'd love to share with you guys, and I'd love to hear feedback as well. So please definitely comment down below if you have one of those questions or you experienced an aha moment and you thought it'd be fun for me to shoot a little video about it and share it with the world, and totally mention who you are and say props for throwing that out there. I appreciate it. So that's what this series is really all about, and I really would love if you guys could thumbs up and hit subscribe if you want to keep watching these. I have a bunch already downloaded on the channel for you to start with, and again, I will keep on loading as much as I can once per week. There will also be other sections on the channel that are related to just lifestyle and also island life. We live in Hawaii, so there's tons of fun things that myself, my husband and I, my friends, we participate in around the island, and I would love to take you guys along on some of those little mini journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the first Everyday Design Tip video. Okay, so topic for today is something that we do not talk about enough, in my opinion. It's something that kind of always comes in play, I feel like, last. But when I'm designing kitchens or bathrooms, I'll tell you what, hardware is at the top of my list. Hardware on cabinetry specifically, top of my list when I start sourcing. Why? Because there are three things that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about size and how it relates to your cabinet that you're putting them on, specifically in the kitchen for today. I want to talk about finish. So what is the finish of the actual hardware? How does it go and relate with other items in your home? And then I want to talk about the third thing is function. Function is really important, really about how you grab it, how does it relate to your hands, or if you're doing this for a vacation rental property that you own, how is it going to relate to the masses? So that's function. Let's dive a little bit deeper into numero uno. So the size in relation to this cabinet makes a lot of sense. The cabinet, the illusion in this condo in the kitchen is that everything is brought to the ceiling, so the cabinets are brought to the ceiling, which gives the illusion of height and slimness and tallness and all that good stuff. And the cabinet itself, the finish of the cabinet in relation to the size of this fixture, and again the size of the cabinet to the ceiling, this really works quite well, this particular size. If you had a smaller knob style handle here with this particular modern style cabinet, it may look a little bit off. You could maybe get away with a square, but I think that this slender design really makes sense with the flat cabinet that we have here. There's no paneling on the cabinet whatsoever. It is completely flat. So again, this really just works with it in the size. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. A little bit of a tip with regard to size. You really have to think about the cabinet that it's going on and how high are your ceilings, how does it make sense with the rest of the layout in your space, and that's going to really help guide you with size. Again, could have been knob, would have had to have been bigger, I think, to create maybe an illusion more of the width to balance out the height. But I think when you're trying to go real seamless and when you have a modern cabinet like this, it really works if you pick something that's long and lean to match the long and lean of whatever kind of cabinet that you have, okay? So there is size. Next up, let's talk finish. So your finish in here, again, we have this rental. So the finish that's in here is really more of like a brushed nickel, okay? And the brushed nickel works really well with this particular cabinet, I think, because it really doesn't compete with it. It's just a little bit of a pop. The rest of the finishes inside of this kitchen are also brushed nickel. So everything is quite seamless. It really just blends. Nothing's overly competing with each other. The real focal point in here is definitely the cabinetry and the veneered finish that's on here along with that wood grain. So the finish here really complements this. If I was to pick another type of a finish that's an option for this particular cabinet, I might go in the matte black route. That would add a nice little pop, but you could keep your sink the same brushed nickel. You wouldn't need to have to matchy-matchy everything. So you could do a pop of black here. But for example, here's chrome. And it just kind of competes a bit too much with this particular cabinet. I would say probably not the best choice, unless you were really trying to make a big statement or you really loved sparkly and shiny. You could go there, but I'll be honest, I just don't think it works super well with this particular style of cabinet. I would stick with something that has a little bit more of a textured, worn looking finish as opposed to something super shiny like a chrome on this particular cabinet. So there's your finish. You also want to think about, with regard to your finish, where are you using it the most and what's good for you and what's good for your hands, because certain finishes are obviously going to pick up more dirt, or if you're baking and you've got flour on your hands and you go and you grab it with the matte black, it's obviously going to get there. You just need to wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. But we just have to think about those things with regard to finish. But more importantly, with regard to finish, does it make sense with your cabinet and the rest of the elements of your design? That finish kind of has to pop in somewhere else, especially if you have an open concept like so many people do these days. So there's finish. The third thing we want to talk about is function. How does it work in your hands for your everyday life? Or if it's not your home and it's a rental like what we're in right now, how does that relate toward everybody else who needs to grab onto this handle that's going to be renting your condo, your VRBO, Airbnb, you name it? It has to kind of appeal to the masses, right? So this particular handle works really well inside of this condo, I think, because it's big. It fits my daintier hands, and it can also fit a bigger hand. You know, same thing here if you liked a more traditional design, and the design of the handle also plays a big part into your cabinet. So clearly this particular design, for example, this one's got a lot more traditional elements to it. It's got a nice curved line here. It's got a bit of what looks like a little bit of molding element here. So this would be a more traditional handle, a handle on a cabinet that I would say has some traditional elements, has some paneling to it, has some crown molding features at the top. I would say this style of handle would go best on that sort of cabinetry. But let's go back to this nice slender design. Again, this one could work quite well here too, right? And again, it's still really long and it's big, so my hand and anybody else's hand can fit inside of this. But let's talk about if this is your home. You can do whatever it is that works for you. It's your home. So in my old home, we had really tall 42-inch cabinets. They were all white, and I had black iron. They were on the dainty side. Little knobs that we put on the cabinets. We had knobs on the cabinets and we had pulls on the drawers, all black iron. So for me, that worked quite well. My hands, daintier, they fit. My husband, he didn't care, they worked just fine for him, but that was my home. You know, they could have been maybe a little bit bigger. If looking back on it, would I have changed anything? I might have changed going a little bit larger on the knob, but I'll be honest, I really loved them. I thought they were perfect. I thought that they didn't take away from the beauty of the cabinetry and the height of the cabinetry and the crown molding that we had. So for me, that worked. It was a home that I owned. But think about the practicality, think about the function. Quick recap, we have size, we have finish, and we have function. Those are the three things we need to think about when you're out there and you're picking hardware at the beginning of your design process, guys. Hardware is super important because of those three things, so integrate that into your design. The second you start to think, oh, I want to renovate my kitchen or my bathroom, really think about that because it will make a difference in and how everything goes together with the other elements that are in your home. Your hardware can really be that pop, or again, it can kind of align with the design and be more seamless. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Again, please give it a thumbs up if you did. Hit that subscribe button that's right down below somewhere. I think this side? This side? I don't know, this whole YouTube thing is very new to me. I'm trying to get a grip, but it's somewhere down here, so click that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much.